And we're back. Another episode, another Monday night spotlight, another WWE fart slot. I don't know what that last one was. I apologize.
WWE fart slap?
I said fart slut. Jesus. That's not what I said, actually. Fart slot. But then I said, you know what, never mind. We're just going to this is a travesty. Welcome back to Anime4ALL podcast. This is an unusual thing. How dare you? But we're here. Last week the plan was to review one episode. Things happened, life got in the way, or didn't get in the way in this case, and we're here to review both My Hero Academia more, and then we're here to review Frieren. So we're gonna dictate an hour to each. So let me just get the timer up. This is helping me more than helping Spear, because I'm the one that kind of rambles. Oh my god, he's taking responsibility. Shut up. And timer started. Okay, so we're just gonna, we're gonna start with My Hero because like that's the one I'm more interested in. No offense to Frieren. But so a little bit of background. When My Hero it ended last year in December, I want to say, or November. I know it ended fairly early in the winter anime time slot. There was rumors going around that there was going to be an extra My Hero Academia episode, like animating the epilogue from the manga. I need to find that manga, by the way. I don't have it, and I need to have it. But apparently the epilogue was like following Class 1A and Class 1B, I believe, and a few other heroes into their adulthood, and that's what this episode was. And it's titled More. Overall, really enjoyed the episode. It was a nice little conclusion. We got to see where our intrepid heroes ended up. Real quick, because I kind of just want to get this out of the way and not talk about him ever again. Grape Juice needs to shut up. He was like so angry the entire episode, and he was barely there.
I don't like Grape Juice a lot.
I didn't feel bad for him anymore, if I'm being honest, because it was clear that he was trying to get popular and it didn't work. And I feel bad for him in that regard, but going solo when you don't really have much of a people don't know about you, and I suspected part of the reason why he went solo as early as he did is because like he was like in the front line when Deku needed help from the class, and he was there, and he was the first one to walk out of the freaking portals. I'm suspecting that I think he thought that was gonna boost his popularity, and it didn't, and he's salty about it. Because I think he is like the last ranked member of 1A, I believe.
He's the least of the ones we know about, yeah.
Hey Retro. But yeah, it's like, he was so salty. He did not need to be as salty as he was. He just probably enjoyed company, but clearly that wasn't happening. So like that's where he's doing his own hero thing. Pretty much the very beginning of the episode, we actually the first few frames is we check in with Uraraka, who's basically the main character of this particular episode for the majority of it. With Froppy,
and I was there for it. I was so there for it. I was very glad.
And then Froppy was her second character. I will say Froppy wasn't very present either. I find that funny that she was kind of the reason why Uraraka did some of the things that she did, which is like go to a doctor. We find out she went to a doctor because of her weird dreams about Himiko. And it's her just talking with Himiko and her not being able to remember anything that she talked to her about. Later on, she remembers exactly what she talked to Himiko about. But she's talking to Froppy. Froppy's worried. And she's like, "Why am I getting a second opinion?" And he's like, "I already did. And you're the one that pointed me to that doctor." And then we just see Froppy freaking pouting. I just thought that was adorable. One of the few random encounters, situations I see, like I think Froppy pouting was actually interesting. I also want to say, and I'm gonna save it for later. we see, you know, Uraka in them talking about like everything that happened afterwards. It seems like Uraka is now like heading an agency for quirk re-education, I guess, for kids to understand their quirks and stuff like that, so they can go back into society. What I thought was interesting, she headed up that entire thing herself, and it seems like she's doing it. She's doing so much of it that she's not getting adequate sleep, which is causing Froppy to worry. Yeah, I do find that part of the episode interesting in general, just seeing Uraka and what she's been doing. I like her design as an adult. As she doesn't look that much different, but you could tell that there was definitely some, like, the way they were drawing her was very purposeful. Like, because I will say, when her younger self, I never said anything about it, but at the time when I was watching her when she was younger, I would say the way they were drawing her seemed really weird. It seemed like it was really difficult considering how her hair like laid on her head. So I don't know what was the shape there. They seem to have figured it out by the end of the show. That's just something from an artistic standpoint that I noticed when it came to drawing her.
What were they trying to do? I'm sorry.
No, it just seemed really weird with the way, to me, like with the way Uraka was drawn as a young girl. It seemed very weird. I don't know what was going on. It seemed like they were having trouble, and it may have had to do with her hair bob, basically. But like as an adult, even though not much has changed, she's a little bit taller, but they have a lot more room to work with her face and her hair, something like that. So it just looks more natural as an adult woman in her 20s than it does as a young girl in her late teens. But they just do, you know, they were drawing her when she was older, and she's taller now too, so they got a lot more to work there. I think after that, I think we jump right to Bakugo, Kirishima, and Deku. I don't know if Bakugo bought a Corvette, but I think that's what that was that he was driving. That's what it is. That's very on brand for him. I feel like he won a fast car. Apparently, I think he's the only one of Class 1A that bought a vehicle, I think. So I don't know if Deku even has a license. Based on the way he was talking, I don't think he does.
Let me ask you something about that. At one point, when they're all walking away after the night of fun, the two of them go, "We're new car, new car, new car," and as they're walking away. What is that about?
They're just happy and want to see the new car.
Bakugo's new car? Okay, that's all it is they're excited to see Bakugo's new car?
Yeah, they wanted to get a ride from him, and Bakugo doesn't really want to give people rides. I think this is all there really was. I didn't know if there was
more to it. That was just... I was trying to figure out, I'm like, why do they keep chanting new car? Like, you know what I mean? But I'd forgotten about Bakugo's car by then, kind of, so it threw me off.
I mean, that the Bakugo's car is like a main character of any real importance. I just think it's kind of funny. It seems like out of all Class 1A, you wouldn't think that Bakugo would be the one with a new vehicle, but again, I guess he's doing well. You know, he's able to do that kind of thing. But like, you see Bakugo, Kirishima, and Deku in a car as they're going to a party, and we see Deku in the back seat, really inside Bakugo's secondary seats. I don't know if those came with the car, or if Bakugo put those there himself. I had no idea. But they're driving, and then, like, you know, Kirishima is teasing Bakugo, and then they're just talking and catching up. Deku pretty much confirming that he's still heroing, and but he still wants to be a teacher, and that's what his, like, I guess that's what his goal is right now, is to be the best teacher he can be for his students. So I thought it was neat that, you know, that he's still teaching, and he's heroing part-time like Aizawa, which is cool. Like, I'm glad that, you know, he's found that path. And then we learn, you know, Bakugo apparently was, like, I think number 3, and number 4, and then he dropped to number 15. But the only reason why he did is because of his attitude. I find that funny. That I think even as a kid, they were telling Bakugo about his attitude and that it could be really detrimental to him, but I guess he didn't believe him. And he just drops several ranks. I was like, and it's of none of his own fault other than his attitude, but like, he's very good at heroing. He's just, people don't like him. But apparently Bakugo's doing really well now, because he has his own agency, and apparently Deku had sent a couple of students to his agency, but they went home crying. But then we learned apparently later on the reason why Bakugo hasn't taken on a real like apprentice yet is because he wants one of the students to have the guts to say they're gonna surpass him. A part of me is like, that's actually kind of noble, I guess, noble in an interesting way. Like he doesn't want anybody that won't try to surpass him, which I guess makes sense. You know, he's in his 20s. Probably when he reaches 30s, that's probably old status for heroes. So I guess it makes sense that he's thinking about the future in terms of like having somebody that's capable of, you know, being better than he is. I do think it's still funny that apparently nobody can really work with him, like at least yet. He hasn't found anybody, you know, with the guts to deal with him. Kirishima actually asked Deku about any students that will work well with him, which means that Red Riot doesn't have a sidekick yet. But that was interesting. Honestly, I thought he was working with Mina Ashido, Pinky, but I guess he's not, or maybe he is, or maybe they're dating. I don't know. It wasn't really stated. I don't even know what Pinky's doing. Mina, the girl with the pink skin and the pink hair. I don't know if she's a hero on her own. I don't remember seeing that. If she's a hero on her own.
Is it racist to call her Pinky?
No, that's her hero name.
It sounds a little racist. I'm going to assume that it's racist.
Why is it racist?
Why do you get to be the one that tells me?
You can look her up. Her name is Pinky. Her hero name, I mean, not her actual name. You want to go her real name? I think it's Mina. I think it's her first name. Her first name is Mina.
Mm-hmm.
But crap. Yeah, they're arguing, and apparently Bakugo still having a hard time asking people straight up, like half-heartedly asked Deku. I find it funny that apparently Kirishima was the one that caught on to what Bakugo was saying, like, do you know what you're gonna do or join the agency? And apparently that was Bakugo's way of asking him to join his agency. And if Deku shot him down without really thinking. I thought that was like, oh, that was him. Wow, that was interesting. I guess Kirishima would know him by this point because they're best friends. I just think that was funny though, like, you know, Deku did not realize that was Bakugo asking for him to join his agency. Probably for the better, maybe Deku doesn't. I don't think Bakugo would treat him badly, but it's probably best not to try to join your rival heroes organization.
Does Deku really feel like they're rivals though? I don't think Deku would think they were rivals.
No, they're rivals. I mean, I even freaking All Might's called them rivals. I think it's between those two if they consider themselves rivals anymore. I mean, I don't really know. I feel like they do because I mean, Bakugo wanted to fight up the leaderboard with him before Deku had lost his One for All.
Yeah.
I remember when Bakugo realized that Deku didn't have power anymore, that crushed him. So, you know. But and then I guess right before we leave that scene, like Bakugo's like, you should really think things through and, you know, not say things such as like everybody's special to me because that means nobody is. And Bakugo said, like, I don't know if that really makes sense coming from me, but, you know, he said it anyway. And I was thinking, like, you know what? Knowing that Deku knows you from childhood, that doesn't make a lot of sense coming from you because he doesn't see you as a philosophical type of guy. But I thought about what he said. I was like, yeah, I guess that makes sense. And I was like, wait, is he telling him about Uraraka? And I was like, is that him telling him about Uraraka? Which makes me think, I'm wondering how many people know that Uraraka is crushing on Deku the entire time. Because that's even weirder for me that Bakugo noticed that. The hothead of the group noticed that, you know, noticed something Deku didn't. But like we see them zooming off, and I think that is like when we part to the party, I think. Everything kind of happened so fast in this episode. But oh, why is that still here? That shouldn't still be here. Do that. Oh god. Am I still here? Okay, yeah, I'm still here.
Oh god. I'm so stoned.
And my computer still. You come back on second monitor? Jeez. No, don't no signal me. Darn technology. I guess like one like Fat Gum's like new costume's interesting. I didn't really pay much attention to it when I was looking at it, but like it's very red, and you can see that he's got. I don't see the U on his costume name. I'm actually kind of curious. That's assumed, but like FGM, I like that. And it's some random dude who I guess is a sidekick now, or one of his sidekicks, because I know Sun Eater is still, you know, sidekicking with him. Yeah, then after that we see Class 1A at the, you know, in a bar. He's celebrating being together because apparently it's also revealed that hell? Oh, it's currently revealed that you know, they haven't really had much time to hang out or even talk to each other because of their heroin business, which I guess makes sense. Every single one of them might have like so many jobs they got to do in a day. But I thought that was neat. Like every single one of them, you know, has a I guess has enough, you know, enough going on in their life that they're unable to keep up. So everybody seems successful, except for orange juice. I mean grape juice. We see everybody here. Shoto, Octopus Dude, Ida, crap. Hey, what's his name? Crap, I keep forgetting this guy's name. Tape Man. That's not his name. Seraphane. Oh, Deku's right there next to Bakugo. Creati, I'm forgetting people's names. Earphone Jack, Tsukiyomi, I Can't Stop Twinkling, Grape Juice, Mina, Pinky, Uraka, Froppy, Tailman, Sugar Rush, Anima, Night Hide, and Invisible Girl. I feel like she should change that to Invisible Woman, but whatever.
Invisible Babe.
I'm gonna let you have that. Okay. I think this party is to celebrate that Shoto has gone up in rank, I think. They're celebrating something. Oh yeah, he's number 2 now. He's like right behind Lumillion. It's interesting that he's number 2 now, because his father was number 2 for a lot of his career. Shoto seems like he's doing well. He still got that scar, but I guess that was never going to go away.
I like Sarah's little beard, like little facial hair. That was one of my favorite changes.
I don't know if Seraphane's beard made me think he was a drug addict, but whatever.
That is very judgmental.
It just didn't look right on him, in my honest opinion. That's what to me. I didn't like the beard, the goatee. It looked out of place. Kaminari, who's like number 44. So really quick is gonna go through because the party's to celebrate. I guess Shoto's a promotion to number 2. I don't know what number he was before. He might have been number 3. I think. See Creati, who number 19. Oh, she went down in rank. It's interesting to see that the ranking is back, still working. Octopus guy is number 9, which is commendable. What's not even a freaking beard? It's a mustache, which I don't know. Maybe you can't grow facial hair. Grape is looking creepy. 108. Did you say apparently is a joke in Japan?
Hmm?
No, you say 108 is a joke in Japan, apparently.
Oh, I forget what though.
Pinky is number 28. And then Airphone Jack is number 30, and apparently she's went down in rank. I feel like they're going through the ranks here, and I couldn't see half the ranks. 39. The internet went crazy with Mina's design, though. I would say, like, there's a lot of back shots of Pinky on the internet.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's a lot of shots from her from behind.
Why?
They find her hot. I can't even tell what they have Anima's name and everything in Japanese. I can't read it, so I don't know if he's even. Oh no, he doesn't have a rank because he's a sidekick. Never mind. That's early. Some of the class 1A are sidekicks too, so not everybody's independent. Apparently, the Invisible Girl is independent from the way that they showed her rank. Sugar Rush is not an independent hero. But I think Tailman is independent. Is he? Yeah, Tailman is. He's apparently he was higher on the rank, but now he's 32. And apparently Tailman's got a scar from something, so I'm guessing he must have suffered an attack when he was on duty. Tsukiyomi, my man, he is number 17 and he went up. I want to say actually real quick, I know you asked this before earlier in many years ago about Tsukiyomi's head. I never paid much attention to it, but in this particular image of Tsukiyomi's head, you can.
Is Tsukiyomi Anima?
No, Tsukiyomi is the bird man.
Oh yeah, okay.
Guy with the black hawk head. I see
Yeah,
here when he's drawn, he has a human neck and kind of like a human chin, but then everything else is bird. I don't know if this was always the case when they were drawing him, because it definitely didn't look like it. It's just kind of jarring to see this now. It's like, oh, so I'm guessing it just sprouted all over his face. I'm guessing when he became of age to get his quirk. So like, that's gotta be interesting. I wonder if he's gonna caca. Oh, sorry, I don't know where that came from.
Jesus, scared the shit out of me.
Really?
No.
What to say?
No, I'm not really scared.
Can't stop twinkling, all in English. I think he's a sidekick, and I think he's working with Invisible Girl, I think. And then to get the ranks of the other pro heroes really quick. Oh, there's Lemillion on that stage. Oh, so it's Lemillion, Shoto, Mount Lady. Crap, I forgot his name. Twigman, Best Genus, Mirko, who is still working. I can't believe she is still working. She is missing both arms and a leg.
I love that they gave her like basically laser cannons for hands. They just went all in.
She should be retired, but I'm guessing she doesn't want to stop. She's lost so much.
See, I don't know. She looks pretty feisty.
She's lost so much.
I get that, but at the same time, she looks awfully feisty.
She still lost so much. Like, I know she wants to keep working. That's obviously what she's doing there. But still, it's like she's lost an arm. Like, she's gonna continuously lose these limbs, basically. It's what's gonna happen. Like, when she's old and frail, she's gonna probably be on a pogo stick. Sorry, that was a little bit rude. I just, like, to me, it's like, I feel like she should have retired. Like, I'm happy that she's still working and doing what she wants to do, but good lord, woman, like, my goodness. Have a kid, or get it, but we take that back. We take all that back. Like, I would like for her to have a happy life doing what she wants to do. I'm guessing that's what she's doing now. Is that a bullet bill on her arm? Hey, what the? Oh my god, that's a bullet bill. That's a bullet bill without the eyes. They killed a bullet bill and put it on her arm. Oh my goodness. I just noticed that was a freaking bullet bill.
I'm there for it.
Oh god. Okay, well, moving on. Mount Lady's number 3. Apparently she went down in ranks, so she must have been number 2 for a little bit there before Showa came along. Oh, freaking Mountain Lady art was all over the internet too. People finding her hot. Oh yeah, Kamui Woods, Gang Orca's got a rank. Kamui's number 4. Washman's number 8. Death Arms is back in the fray, and he looks old. Ryukyu's number 40. She looks kind of old now too. President Mike, I'm surprised. I didn't know he had a rank.
Yeah, we always knew that. I couldn't remember what it was if you asked me, but yeah, he's always had a rank.
I didn't know that. I didn't know President Mike was a ranked hero. I thought he was supposed to get teacher.
Yeah, he's a pretty okay deal. He's pretty powerful and stuff. You know what I mean? Like he can hold his own just as much as anybody else.
Yeah, I'm not saying he couldn't. I'm just saying I was surprised. I didn't know he was a working hero. I thought he was just a teacher. I didn't realize he was a working hero.
Yeah. Later in the show, don't forget that like what it means to be a hero is different too. You know.
I guess I did forget that he was in the war, so maybe. The Deku copies changed his hairstyle, so he no longer looks like Deku. He's number 20 apparently, and I'm guessing these turtleneck and whoever this whoever this is, I don't even know who that is a sidekick of his. I'm guessing. The man who saved the world. I forgot his name. Crap.
Deku?
The guy with the copy ability.
Are you talking? Oh yeah, I forget. He something thief, right?
His name is his name is Steve. I was trying to remember his actual name. I wish I could hold up. Let me get rid of the subtitles really quick. It's covering things I can't see. He's number 10. And your favorite girl with the giant hand ability is number 23. Mudman's number 14. Real Still is number 26. Lizardy is 22. Comic Man's number 33. So even Class 1B got ranks too. Crap, wait a minute. I went back too far there. Still went back too far. The class from the rival school, Kami, I guess in Kami's a sidekick. The dude who hates Bakugo is number 41. The guy who believes he's a rival of Todoroki is number 16. He looks insane though. He shaved his head and everything. Like the man just shaved his head. Like, good lord, man, what did you do that for? I guess for aerodynamics, I'm guessing. I guess it makes sense. I mean, it was just really interesting. He looks insane in his image. Kami's got her front of her jacket open enough to like, she gotta watch it or they're gonna pop out. But yeah, we see like get a chance to see everybody's like hero ranking now, which is cool. I wasn't anticipating them to show us all their ranks. So that was cool. Did I miss something? Oh, that's right. Before all that, like, we see Oraka at a school, like bringing some of her friends over to cheer the kids up. We see Lemillion as number 1. I don't know how you feel about Lemillion's pompadour. I don't know if I like it that much. But I will say Lemillion's I guess Peach's attack was interesting, and I'm finding it weird he's able to move so fast. I'm kind of curious if that's a gag attack or that's an
actual gag attack.
Are you sure? Because like,
why wouldn't it be?
It's Lemillion.
I know, but why wouldn't it be?
It's Lemillion.
It's a gag attack.
That's what I'm gonna say. It's Lemillion. Okay, I guess. I mean, I'll go with the gag attack. It just seemed interesting that he decided to do that in a tree, and apparently he's really able to move that. He's able to move that around, and he's playing a little game with the children. You know, and it was cute how he was like being able to, you know, show them how you know. And then Uraraka helped a little kid who wanted to be involved but was too afraid to join. She like tapped him and lifted him up in the air, and he used his tank laser to shoot Lemillion, and Lemillion wasn't anticipating it.
Uh-huh.
And I thought that was pretty funny. And then Lemillion just says like, "Oh, he won!" And apparently, like, because the kid won, his popularity skyrocketed among his groups, which is kind of cool. So it's showing like, you know, Uraraka. I skipped this over, but I'm gonna go back to it. I'm gonna talk about it right now. But it's cool that seeing Uraraka is like, you know, she's making a difference the way she wants to. But that was cool. And Froppy's here. I guess I want to say really quick. There's a panel where you see every single one of the heroes: Lemillion, Uraraka, Nejiri, Sun Eater, and Froppy. And I gotta like was it like I'm curious if the animators did this on purpose or the creator of the show did this on purpose. It seemed it seemed really obvious how curvy Froppy was. I don't know what happened there. It's like it almost seemed like she was more curvy than she was before.
Why not?
I don't know. It just seemed like, okay, I'm guessing there were a lot of people that I guess they're giving people who are Froppy fanboys or fangirls.
Or maybe they're just like showing that she grew up. Making like they made Lemillion like cut, like, you know what I mean? Like it doesn't make 1,000% sense to not make people look more grown up, does it?
Well, it's not that. Just like it's like Froppy's suit wasn't really that form fitting, was it before? Not like Uraraka's, because Uraraka was way form fitting when she was a young girl.
I guess it just doesn't really matter very much, does it? Like it was just. All
I'm really saying is I noticed it. I'm just saying it was like, okay, wow, this must be for the fanboys that really do find Froppy attractive, because there are people that are like that. She is human, but still, it's one. I was saying like it's, to me it seems obvious to me that they did that on purpose.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is like it's also defensible. Like she's not underage now. You know what I mean? She's womanly. Like it doesn't make sense. It's both ethical and okay that, like, you know what I mean, that they made her consistent with her age.
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. I'm just saying that it was something I noticed immediately when I saw her in her hero outfit. Because before she was wearing pretty like loose fitting clothing. I'm not saying that she's trying to, I'm just saying like the way they drew her hair is like, okay, that's interesting. I guess it's also cool to see her suit change, because I think her suit changed the most. Uraraka's didn't, though. Uraraka got some gloves on her hands now for her touching, on her hands, I guess, to make it easier for her to tap, and affect gravity around others.
Yeah.
The Lemillion suit changed drastically too.
Lemillion like was probably the most dramatic change. That like now he's like giant and cut and All Might looking, works out. Girl, look at his body.
After they do all that talking, we see everybody's rank. We see Tsukuyomi apparently being upset about the perfume, ad where they're telling him he needs to be a lot more, I guess, flashy, and he doesn't want that. I thought it was funny. Like, he's the one that's overly dramatic right now, because he's normally not like that. He's pretty under the radar, pretty under the carpet, under the cover. He doesn't really react too often. It's just funny to see that he's overreacting now. He's a lot more emotionally less repressed than he was when he was a kid. I was like, okay, so they're making reference to the fact that I definitely did see an ad with his face on it for cologne, and I was like, I remember saying that. I think you didn't see it, and you were wondering if there really was one. I was questioning whether I did see that, so I'm glad they confirmed that he was on a cologne ad.
Yeah.
That was funny. I was like, oh, cool. They actually made reference to that. And Todoroki is like talking about like how he's got more time to do what he wants to do, and apparently he's making little chopsticks to eat noodles with, which was interesting. He said he's finding out that he likes to eat a lot. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. Like, that's at least my response was. I was like, okay, that's cool. I mean, you say you like soba. I mean, something we didn't know about you until the end of the show. But hey, and apparently this sparks a thought in Deku about thinking about what Bakugo said about like you not really thinking things through. And then he looks over at Araka, who was having fun with her group on the other table. You seeing Araka, having fun and smiling, for a long time in this episode. It seemed like she's having a lot of fun. And I think, we get like a little, we see everything they've been through when they were in school. Then they start like gossiping, and apparently, 2 heroes from I guess class 1B are dating, and I do not remember their names because I don't think I remember seeing them before. And then they bring up if Kaminari and Earphone Jack are dating, and they're saying no, they just happen to be in the same area, working in music. And I'm like, I thought they worked as a couple, or at least they look cute together as a couple. I mean, maybe they don't work together, but clearly they don't.
I think that was like hinting that they're going to be a couple very subtly, like that they're in their early stages of becoming a couple.
I don't know. It didn't seem like she was all that interested in him. I mean, but then again, what I know. But,
they kind of smiled, and she kind of like shyly like edged away from him for a second, and like
doesn't have her other ear thing.
I think it's like they don't realize it, but they're into each other and kind of thing.
I guess, yeah. We see Creati. I could have swore I saw online some people were saying that Momo and Ida got together, but I don't know if that's the case or not. Also, it doesn't look like Creati's even wearing a wedding ring, so she's definitely not married. Really quick. Yeah, they're doing like gossiping, and then like in a normal comic book, some criminals out there doing their doing evil or whatever, doing bad. So they all get that on their phone, they all get out and they all rush out to the crime. And it was like a really nice little shot of them working together. They probably for the first time in a long while. But I will say, like, they got the bad guy, and I was sitting here thinking, were they all necessary for that? Especially Ida coming out of nowhere, like, was like, this man, like, was at the other side of the plane of existence in the rearview mirror of that criminal, and all of a sudden shot forward, went and drifted around the car, flipped over it, and jumped right in front of it to slow it down. I was like, good lord, Ida, like, what the heck was that necessary? You see Deku getting to use his power suit. And it seems like it's allowing him to move really quickly, which I think is really cool. Ida bursts forth and pretty much like stops the car. Well, tries to stop the car from the front. And I think Cellophane or Mudman or something like that managed to stop the car full on.
Mm-hmm.
After that, the bad guy gets arrested, and they're all like, at that point they're all ready to get going and go home because some of them got business to do in the morning. I guess speaking of costumes, like Bucko's hasn't really changed all that much, but I'm guessing his costume functions basically the same. He needs to store sweat.
Yeah, I think the joke there is that Bakugo looks like he's never changed, but he has. I think that's like the commentary there.
I just think it's just that I understand what you're saying, but I just think I don't really know if there's any old commentary, at least from my point of view, from looking at his costume. I think his costume just functions the way it needs to function because he thought about that as a kid. I will say, the one thing I will say, that one video he did share with me did make me think, I wonder if Bakugo regrets naming himself Great Explosion Murder God Dynamite. Because I still feel like Dynamite works much better and sends the right kind of message.
He'll never admit it if it's true.
I mean, that's true. I just feel like Dynamite works so much because people call him Dynamite and he responds to it. So I was like, I don't. Huh?
Yeah, I said, yeah. I just don't think he'll ever admit it. I think even if he knows you're right, he's too proud to admit something like that.
And he is using his brother's suit, which is cool. Apparently, a lot of their suits are like, the suitcase technology has changed so much that now it's like it kind of just like, it kind of like almost like an ooze, not like really an ooze, but like a hologram slime, or you want to call it, just kind of just slowly engulfs their body to put their suit on. But I think it's cool because when it comes off, it's like really easy. So they can be wearing civilian clothes and change immediately.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was like, a cool little touch. The Deku suit isn't the only one that does that. So they say goodbye to everybody and they move off. Mina and Kirishima mooch a ride off of Bakugo. Bakugo's not happy about it. He says bye to Deku, see him again. Deku told him, like, why don't you come by to teach a class or help me teach a class? He's like, I'm not coming over to be your bad example. I was like, Jesus. I was like, geez, like, do you really think Deku would do that to you? I guess maybe he would, but I mean, really? I mean, I guess reality, really, yeah. I mean, it just like, Bakugo still, like doesn't like being made the joke of a lot of things, and they all disappear. And as Uraraka is like walking away, she starts thinking that she says bye to Froppy, who's riding the train. I don't know where she's going, because didn't Froppy and her ride the train to the event? I guess maybe her home isn't necessarily accessible by a train, I guess. I don't really know. But as Uraraka's walking, she remembers that, she didn't get a chance to talk to Deku. And like, their heroing work kind of allows them to speak, but like they haven't had a chance to be like talk one-on-one. And then Deku realizes the exact same thing, how he wanted to talk to her. He didn't get a chance to. So they have this moment both individually that eventually leads Deku rushing to chase her down. And he finally catches her, and she's in front of like a giant like building that's like got a billboard on it. That ironically, the Uraraka kind of stops in front of. I don't know if this is on purpose. It probably was, but like she stops right in front of the billboard that has Deku on it, and as she's thinking about him. And I was like, oh, that's interesting that they did that on purpose. That's actually really cool. But as that happens,
it did too. And you know what's kind of funny about that same billboard? There was an advertisement there with Todoroki and Bakugo, and they're advertising a product, and the product's name is just Bar.
Bar?
Yeah, Bar.
Oh
just
no,
Bar.
you know that candy thing. That not candy, whatever that thing was. Like Kirishima was eating it in the car when they were heading over to the thing, actually. I don't know what they called it, I mean, other than Bar. But
I thought it was funny that it was just called Bar.
Yeah. I mean, that was I saw that too, and I was like, oh, that's it, cool. But basically they meet up, and Uraraka, starts remembering her dream with Himiko, and Himiko's like, I did everything that I wanted to do in life. I went and got what I wanted. It's okay for you to do it too. And then apparently, I don't know if I'm guessing Uraraka moved on her own without thinking, but they made it look like she kind of got pushed by Himiko into Deku, and then they bump each other and they kind of blush, and then he's like, Deku's like, I wanted to talk to you more, hinting that there's a relationship blooming. And like, she says, yeah, she's cool with that, and then they hold hands, and basically they have like a fairy tale moment for a few seconds, and I think that's where the episode freaking ends. Yeah, we see everybody else like heading home or doing nighttime activities. Apparently, Bakugo, and I missed this. Apparently, I missed it when it was happening. But Bakugo mentioned that he needed to go meet with what's his name? The dude that revived him. I forgot his name. What's his hero name? No. The needle dude, who I forgot his name. He looks like a freaking ninja. I forgot his name. I'm asking for your help, but apparently you don't know his name either.
The needle dude?
Yeah, the needle dude that revived, that helped revive Bakugo back in the war.
Not Eri, right?
No, needle dude.
That's the only one I know that helped revive Bakugo.
Eri didn't help revive Bakugo.
Oh, I thought she reversed. Oh no, I know who you're talking about. Edgeshot. Is his name Edgeshot?
Yeah, he needed to go meet with Edgeshot in the morning. It's like Bakugo
Yeah.
says. I don't know what that's about. I hope Acer's doing well because the last time we saw him, he was nothing but an eye. But
Well, the feeling was that he's recovering because he was already well on his way to recovery.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, we see that Deku and Uraraka meet up, and I guess like now this what's assumed here that they're going to be dating in the future. But I thought that was like a little nice moment. That people were saying that they were upset at the end of the original manga, where like it left up in the air Uraraka and Deku's situation of and I like that.
I feel like that's exactly why this. I feel like someone read that, and that's exactly why this happened.
Well, I mean, the epilogue was written by the creator. It already happened in the manga. So yeah, I mean, yeah, you're not wrong. They animated it to confirm that because that whole situation was left in the air. We don't know anything about because it didn't. It's clear that apparently they didn't tell each other, or Uraraka didn't even confess to Deku when they were younger. So it's cool that it happened now. I do like that. I like that, they get a chance to have a little bit of happiness, and Uraraka gets to have happiness too. I do love how after Himiko does push Uraraka into Deku, she just turns around and disappears. I was like, oh, okay, so she can leave now. It's like my job is done. Poof. It's like I'm actually kind of curious because Uraraka did bring up a fact that it's possible that Himiko might still be a part of her, in a real sense. Like a real, like a Vestas, like in a real sense, like she might still be there. I don't know if they'll ever really well, I mean, plus they won't confirm it because the show it's over now. But it'd be kind of cool to have a confirmation about that. The way the way
maybe we'll get something like unofficial.
I mean, if the creator ever says anything, it's up to him.
Yeah, like let something slip at a con or something like that.
I mean, it really depends if he even goes to a con about My Hero, but you never know. I mean, this show will live on, and there'll be a lot of. It doesn't have to be about
My Hero. It can just be like a con that he's at. Like he doesn't only have to go to My Hero cons.
Well, he's busy working on his horror thing, or getting ready to work on his horror comics. I don't know if he'll ever have time to go to a random con without people bombarding him about his next work.
Yeah,
that will happen. Because he made a successful piece of work now, so people are gonna be asking, "Hey, what's your next thing?" I sure hope he doesn't do what the creator of Fullmetal Alchemist did, which is confirm they're working on something new and then disappear for so many years. I mean, flat out, I didn't hear anything about this creator until Damon of the Shadow Realm came out. And I'm like, oh, they're still working? I thought they freaking retired. I sure hope he doesn't flat out disappear. I know there's also one thing I remember saying, and this is already confirmed. I just don't know when it's gonna happen. But there is something that's supposed to happen around Eri, and it sounds like it's gonna be a multi-parter. I think I don't really know. It could be a freaking movie for all I know about Eri and what she's been doing. Because we do see Eri at the end of the show, and she's older now, and she's going to school, and she's got friends.
When did we see that? I was looking for it. I actually put in my notes that I wish we had gotten to see her.
It's at the end of the last. It was at the end of the very last episode of the show. I think we see her. And we also see it in the I think in the intro of this episode too, where you see a little bit of Eri walking around. We know she's doing okay, and she's got her horn back. And she's singing with yeah.
I remember her having her horn back, but I didn't remember.
You see her singing. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
We see her singing with Kaminari and Earphone Jack at the end of the last episode of the show season. Actually, I think we see it a little bit here, not too much. It's kind of I think it kind of blink if you miss it, blinking you miss it. But it does. We do see her a little bit here, but I'm hearing that apparently there's gonna be a little bit more of Eri later on. They're working on it. There's no confirmation of when it's gonna come out though. So I mean, it's one of those things that's gonna be in the air, and we'll hear about it when we hear about it. So. I guess depending on how that does and what's going on there, we'll probably come back and watch that just to, get a chance to get some closure with her too. So I will say, yeah, it would be kind of cool to know a little bit more about what Eri's situation is right now. So from the sounds of it, there's something going on and there's something brewing with her at the center of it. So we'll know eventually. And I don't know how many more notes you got, We're like 11 minutes before the hour is up for this part of the podcast.
Let me check my notes. Hang on.
I'm gonna go use the bathroom real quick as you check your notes. I'll be right back. All right.
How was it?
Refreshing.
Refreshing. That's an interesting way to describe something like that. I could see it. I could see it for sure.
Any notes? Are you still looking?
Oh, I didn't check. I was waiting for a douchebag to finish taking a piss. I don't know if you know, so you should... What?
That's
I couldn't hear him.
So that's awfully rude of him.
Oh, extraordinarily rude.
Jackass. Sorry.
That's okay. I just call you pretty much the same thing. I think that's pretty fair. It can go both ways. While I've been talking to you, I've been importing all my passwords from Google over to Airtable. And I just now finished. And just now saved it with Jessie so that she has access to all my passwords too. Okay, let me see what I have, if I have anything that you didn't talk about or that I didn't bring up already, because I mentioned stuff too. I liked how, it's 7:54, I liked how squishy happy Midoriya looked in the back of Bakugo's car. He was just like, he could care less about the rest of the world. The whole world could have burned. As long as he was in the back of that car in the squishy seat, he was happy. Look, I observed that Deku apparently no longer has any One for All. It looks like it's completely gone, for what that's worth. No big deal, but just an observation. I liked how both Uraraki and Midoriya had to have friends urge them to think of themselves sometimes. It both kind of like precluded like what was going on, and also it precluded what was going on, and also kind of like showed how they're alike the two of them are in values and general orientation. At 13, did Death Arms drop? Was Death Arms the character that retired?
Yeah, he retired and came back to work near the end of the war, helping people.
Did you say that already? Because I thought that was cool that he came back. I'm sorry if you said that already.
I said just that he looked old and that he apparently was ranking. He was ranked again, so he came back to work.
Yeah, I thought that it was cool that like he was re-inspired because he retired because he was not because he was tired of working. He retired because he was like discouraged with the whole hero thing. You know what I mean? So I thought it was cool that they showed him that he had come back for more.
Can you make some more? Sorry, Sonic Adventure 2.
That's I understand. Let's see. At 1828, I thought it was neat that when Bakugo was like waving goodbye to everybody, you could see just how scarred his hands and his face were and everything like that. Kind of brought him back up to where Deku was, in my opinion. I was like, oh yeah, they're both kind of covered in injuries now. Oh, that's a Reddit note that I put in the wrong spot. I like that Uraraka and Midoriya finally had a more formal connection in this episode, but I was kind of disappointed that the episode ended right as the moment it truly began. Like, I wish, just give me like another 10 seconds, you know? So I was grateful that we got to see this, but at the same time, I was like, you couldn't have just like let them talk for another second, you know?
I mean, they were going to talk for a lot longer. Lots of syllables and grunts and sorry.
Wow. My brother in Christ.
I am so sorry. Like, I don't mean it, but I do mean it. I really like this ship, and I'm glad that it I guess I didn't say this, sorry for railroading this again, but one last thing on it is like I'm glad that it happened, period. You know, and I'm glad it happened where it did. It didn't happen in the middle of the show, completely ruining her character. It just happened at the end of it, you know, and it was one of those, she forgot, you know, basically to even address it. And, you know, as you said before, she had a friend on her corner to remind her. And I forgot to mention that Himiko was kind of like, it was kind of weird because Himiko almost seemed like more of a what's the word? More of a symptom, and more than anything else that she did not solve. But, you know, sorry.
I don't know, Himiko. It was kind of like they gave Himiko a little redemption. You know what I mean? If we can say that really is a piece of Himiko, like you almost get to see Himiko like, you're like, okay, if you have Himiko and you keep her essence and you take away her bloodlust that she can't control, then you have this loving, caring person. You know what I mean? It's just sort of she was freed from the things that were making her a psychopath, you know, because she was just living with one of the people that she loves that loved her back. And she didn't have this overwhelming desire to drink blood and stuff like that. And she just had like her heart. Her heart is what really saved her. You know, her heart and her soul were left, but like all the other stuff that made her a bad person kind of melted away. So we got to see a redeemed Himiko, which I think was one of the characters that people felt the most empathetic about. Let's see. See this note. I said would have liked to see how some of the really young characters turned out, like Eri or that kid that shoots water that Deku saves early in the series. From Muscular, I would have liked to see them as like full adults or like deep into their teenage years. This is just a funny little to myself note, but like when they found out that there was a stolen car, they like all ran out and just beat the shit out of that poor stolen car. It like took a little touch away from how heroic it was, because like there was like 11 and the numbers were like 11-1. Like they had control of that situation, and they chose to rip the door, like crash through that car and jump on top of it and break the windows and stuff of that poor person's car, a stolen car, to get to the two guys inside.
I mean, I think I already made a mention, like, I don't know if, like, I think I said, like, was it really necessary that all of you were here? I think I literally said that. But yeah, I mean, that's just to emphasize the
Given that
point.
all of them were here, given them that they all went, they didn't. They probably had enough of them where they should have had a lot of options that didn't involve completely trashing that poor person's stolen car. I like the happy ending it provides. They're through. It looks like all the characters are kind of through the shell shock of everything that happened. It feels happy and optimistic. You get that feeling about like you get from like the early episodes. There's a clear feeling that all is well, and it seems the wreckage is taken care of. But I really like. I know it would have been cut into the happy ending feel a little tiny bit, but maybe they could have shown that like there was still some rebuilding in progress. Like maybe we could have seen some buildings being under construction in the background or something like that to show just how much they were recovering from. You know what I mean? I think like there should have been some reconstruction still going on.
I mean, why? I mean, all that happened when they were like very young, like middle of their teens. They're in their, they're like 25, 24, 25 now. Why would there still be construction going on?
Because logically, it would have taken years for that reconstruction to finish up. Like they would have been working on that for years and years and years. Like, and think about it. Like, there's not enough contractors to be assigned to every single building in a city, especially given that the contractors' like buildings have probably been knocked down too. And like the whole place was leveled. They would have had to have people come in and clear out the wreckage. They would have had, even with heroes and people with quirks helping, they would have had to have people come and clearing out the wreckage. They would have had to have people getting the resources to rebuild, mining them and locating them and purchasing them and going through zoning laws and red tape and all that stuff and rebuilding the government that had physically collapsed, to the ground. Finding people that like, I'm sure countless people died. You know what I mean? Finding like, getting like the whole society reorganized and back on its feet, stuff like that. Like, I think it would have been okay to show like here and there, like that they were still building a few buildings, even if everything was clean and there were skyscrapers under construction. And, if it was shimmering steel and stuff like that and like made it look new, it would still feel optimistic. But I think there should have been some hint that there was some reconstruction going on. It was only a few years.
You also forget that the entire world chipped in to help Japan out.
Well, we know that we don't know how much they chipped in. We know that there was like at least 10 or 20 heroes from the rest of the world helping out, but we don't know much else about what's happening.
I'm assuming a lot more than just a few heroes from other countries joined in. I mean, based off the way the entire world was watching the fight happen and take place, to me, I don't know if any country didn't chip in. I feel like and it's not like they had to mine resources if the countries were giving the resources over to them. Well, I understand that maybe it's also possible there is some reconstruction going in the background. They didn't say the world was like 100% A-okay. I don't think we need to really see not abandoned, but we need to see construction happening in the background to get the feeling that maybe they're still trying to recover. I'm just saying these guys, I think, are, from the way I was hearing from everybody else, I think they're in their 25. Like, I don't know, that's a short amount of time because they were like 16 like when this all this was happening. So like they're 25 now. That was a substantial amount of time that passed by that point. 16, 17, 18, 19.
How many years would you say roughly?
Well, I mean, there were 16 when all that happened. So 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 22, 23, 24. So if we are assuming that they were at their peak physical condition, which would be 25 years old, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years have passed.
Yeah. So just casually, can we agree that what happened to Japan was worse than was a worse disaster than a major earthquake?
I think an earthquake would have taken more, but I mean, honestly, in the scale of like meeting and everything, and what Shigaraki did do, good grief, they suffered a lot.
Yeah, you would say that like a major, it's probably more than damage than a major earthquake, right?
I don't know. I don't know how like how many people get taken
Buildings
out
are
by a
buildings are
major earthquake.
specifically designed to survive an earthquake, but they're not designed to survive a Shigaraki. You know what I mean? So like a major earthquake would knock out poorly prepared buildings, cheap buildings, old buildings, probably historic buildings where they couldn't earthquake prepare them and stuff like that. But after a major earthquake, there'd be a lot of buildings still standing. Rebuilding is, according to this, rebuilding a city after a major earthquake is a long-term process that generally takes 6 to 10 years for significant recovery, though full recovery, especially regarding housing and infrastructure, can stretch into decades. So like,
This is the fictional city, though. I mean, entire like world powers are at play.
yeah, but what I'm saying is it can take decades to grow to like recover from a major earthquake. So it stands if it's a major earthquake can take decades to recover from, and this is at least on par, if not significantly more damage than a major earthquake. I mean, some of this areas look like absolute flattened. You know what I mean? So I would say that like, and it's also the scale. It's not just a single city, but it's like a whole really large portion of Japan was wiped out. I would say that it would be fair to say that like they were still building some buildings in the background, even if everything was cleaned and like lots of stuff was still built. I think it would be fair to like have a few things in the background where, like here, okay, Tohoku, Japan, um, in 2011 when they had a major earthquake. 15 years later, reconstruction of major roads and public housing is complete, but specialized areas around Fukushima require long-term efforts extending beyond 2030. So, like, Japan did have a situation where they had a major earthquake in 2011. It's 15 years later, and they're saying that it's probably going to go into 2030, which would be about 20 years.
But you're assuming that everything is fixed. I'm just saying, because I mean, even forgetting the war for a quick minute, the incident that happened before with Shigaraki wasn't involved, they were still dealing with that. I mean, you made that pretty clear, because I wasn't even aware that they were still recovering from that. But they weren't making a big deal about it in terms of like letting the fans know that that was still happening. I think you were just to assume that there were still rebuilding efforts. I don't know if they're really 100% done rebuilding Japan, even with the Shigaraki thing. And I don't even know how much of like, you make it seem like Shigaraki took out like half of Japan. I mean, based on how his power worked, he probably could have, but I don't know if, I thought maybe he took out a few cities, is what he actually
He took out a few cities, but he wasn't the only player. Remember, there was a lot of other stuff going on.
But were they as damaging as he was?
No, they weren't, but there was a lot of it, you know? So I think that I think it would have been okay. And I remember there was also like every episode of My Hero Academia where things were damaged leading up to that. So like the events leading up to the final episode stuff, some of that, like I feel like they could have been still working to get that back up at a place, you know what I mean, when the big thing happened. I think it would have been a good nod somewhere if they had someone rebuilding, maybe a memorial in the background, or like that they travel through or something like that at one point that like is a memorial to the heroes or something. A poster in the background or something like that. Like maybe when they're walking along, there's a poster in the background about, you know, chipping in or something. I think it would have been okay to have something that made a nod to the fact that this happened, you know?
I mean, I think the people knowing that it already happened is more than, I know you're saying they probably could have done, I don't know if it was, for me, and for a lot of people, I don't know if it was really necessary. You're wanting a little bit more, like, I guess, background lore from it all, even though we're at the end of the show. I don't know, like, honestly, you know, if they were going to do more with the show and they were going to, and they wanted to do that, that would have been okay. But to me, like, we're already at the end of it. I know they're going to do something like Ares, so it's possible that we'll see more reconstruction with her. But again, like there's a lot of assumptions that they're not still rebuilding. And on top of it, they could still also be adding and building. Building of structures doesn't exactly mean that they're rebuilding. They could be adding new buildings in to some places. I mean, look at Baltimore. I mean, using real world examples, since this is an Earth. We should be moving on to Frieren here in a minute, but considering like our place like in Baltimore is in consistent construction. Right, like even New York City's got like there are a lot of big cities that just got cranes and everything every freaking where like they're occupying streets and stuff like that, but they're not really.
But even with that, like you could just have it in the background and have us wonder if they're still rebuilding or if that's like a new building going up. Like even then, like that would just be a nice little nod. Do you know what I mean?
I mean,
I would see that in the background and go, I wonder if they're rebuilding a building or if that's a new building. Like either way, it sets the right tone. But just that little like shadow, that little tiny shadow that's, hey, all this happened,
I mean, they were, but where they were was mostly like a fully developed city. I don't know where in the world they would put a crane in the background, because considering how much like lighting and buildings were every freaking where, and trains of all things too. But there was a lot going on in that place for them to put a crane in the background. Like, I get what he's saying, but at the same time, I don't know. I don't know if it's really necessary. But I mean, you do think it's necessary, so I mean, maybe that's really all that matters here. I just don't know. I guess that's basically what I'm saying. I don't know. I don't know if that would have added anything or taken anything from away from it for me.
It wouldn't have like changed the world. I think it would have been nice to acknowledge. Like nobody ever said, "Hey, like we went through a lot. However, let's raise a glass or anything like that." They just kind of. It's like it never happened. It's not like it never happened. It's like it's no longer relevant that it happened. Like they're just like, except for the fact that they're all friends because of what they went through. I don't know. There was an opportunity there, I think, to remind us what was going on, all right. Anyway, my last bullet point was I would have liked, also pointing towards that, I would have liked a little bit of information on how maybe this had helped bring the world together, since the entire world was watching what happened. Like, it would have been cool if, like, there's an indicator somehow that, like, the world had become maybe, like, a more peaceful place or something like that.
I mean, this is just one story. I mean, it wasn't like the creator was intending to make an entire, like, I wouldn't call it a multiverse, but, like, just, like, it was like they were intending to do more. I can honestly sit there and say, like, even though they were showing a lot of this stuff, I think it was just spice on top of an already tasty meal. It just made things a little bit more. I get that it would have been nice to have that in there, but again, I also sit there and say I wasn't really thinking about any of all of that. I just thought the world was at peace for right now until something else shows back up. It's typically how most things work. And then the world's in peril again is how I basically was thinking about a lot of this. I was just mostly interested in seeing how they were doing. And on top of that, I guess to the whole idea you saying that you wish that they had brought up that like major event. I don't know if like about you, but I don't really like reliving traumatic experiences, even if it is just to like reminisce about it, because like regardless of bringing down the mood, some people probably could be still experiencing trauma that they're hiding, and you bringing up a situation like that could cause them to have a panic attack and then run out screaming that their head got cut off. I don't know if it's a sensitive thing to bring up, even if you are in a group of friends that been through the experience with you. That's just my 2 cents on that.
I hear you. But what about this world peace thing? Like, what if, even if they didn't talk about it directly, what if it turned out that this whole thing helped pull the people together as a human race? You know what I mean? Like, what if you found what if they had made a mention to how, like, ever since then, ever since what happened, vague hand wave, like, it seems like, you know what I mean? When they were talking about how, like, heroes are rated differently now, like, if they'd also mentioned, like, and now that heroes are working together, across the world, we do things a little differently for that reason too. Do you know what I mean? Where they just started talking about, like, something that made it clear that, like, the whole world was working together now. You know what I mean? Like, that the events that had brought everybody together to work together as a team,
I don't know if
it would have been uplifting. It would have been uplifting to be like, you know what? Like, we started working together after that. Like, we became, you know what I mean, a unified front of some sort. I don't know.
I don't know. Realistically speaking, with every country having their own set of heroes, I feel like I feel like that working together was already kind of shown at the end of the season before this more episode was shown. Because again, like everybody helped out Japan, and was also helping everybody else out after the whole thing. Because like they were only avoiding each other because of All for One's hold on their infrastructure, the Hero Society as a whole. Anyway, well, not Hero Society, but the Villain Society as a whole. That's half the reason why none of the countries helped out with Japan in the moment versus what they did afterwards. Going back to what you're saying, would have been nice to hear, I guess, but at the same time, I guess for me, it's like I can't picture how that would affect if it would do anything negative or positive, at least for me. In terms of watching it, would it have been cool to see? I guess yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna sit and say I wouldn't. That wouldn't have been cool to see. Did I need that? I guess is the better question. It's like, no, I don't really think I needed that. But also, you asking a question, no, that's not harmful or anything. And yeah, it would have been cool, sure. But I don't think I found myself at the end of the episode really wanting that. If anything, that I agree with you with is like maybe they should have shown a little bit more of Loraka and Deku. But I feel like I think them holding hands and them smiling at each other was more than enough of a confirmation of that they're going to be talking from here on out, for a long time. And if they do end up a relationship, which seems like that's what's going to happen, that's cool confirmation there too, that we know that's where they're going. Because the show is mostly just about Deku and his class and Class 1B and stuff like that. The world is kind of the center stage of it all, and not like the world isn't important, but I think honestly the story was really just about them, and I think that's like why it ended the way it did, because it wasn't really including everybody else in the world. But again, would it have been cool? Yes. I mean, I like the movies where they introduce like heroes from other countries. The last movie we watched included European mafia types. I wasn't expecting that. I'm like, the fact that that there are ideas within this show that can be explored is cool, but I don't think he's gonna explore it unless there's the thing too. Like, my hero could suffer the same fate that Dragon Ball Z did back in the day, which will cause him to come out of retirement to do it. But am I gonna hold my hopes up for that? Not really, unless he also decides to like give the IP to a successor that he trained to tell him to continue the story. Possibly, and some of those things you were saying would be nice to know in that moment. But as something, at least for me, in closure, I don't really need that for closure. But
I don't need it for closure. I think it would have been an example of something that maybe would have made me feel happy. I would have been like, oh, the world's a stronger, happier place because of everything that they went through. Do you know what I mean? Like the world is getting along better with itself now because, people pulled together from this event. And because like there was one big thing that happened that they made a big show of, but then they kind of like abandoned, was everybody watching it on TV. Do you know what I mean? Everybody sat there and watched the fight on TV, and they showed how it captured the hearts of everybody. Like at the end, like the big finale, like people were there and like they didn't care, and then they suddenly cared more and they were like engaged. So that would have helped that idea of the storyline theme of like heroes inspire people. Do you know what I mean? And heroes make the world better, not just by fighting bad guys, but also by inspiring people. It would have added a little depth to that, where they would have been like, that fight, like everybody's seeing that and seeing what it was like to be a true hero and like inspired, like heightened world peace. You know what I mean? And like now people like feel a little differently about how they live their lives and like want to be a little bit kinder to each other,
I mean, yeah, but who's to say that they aren't being kind? But also, I mean, what I took from a lot of those interactions, which probably didn't need to be there. Well, I mean, some of them probably were cool to have, but like, I don't know. A lot of them, even you say that it would been kind of cool to see them change. I don't know. Half those people that we were seeing, like, didn't seem all that invested. Some of those guys were more invested in Shigaraki than they were invested in Deku. And then some of those guys, even like the guy who was working in the office when all this was happening, he was more concerned with trying to make sure he got his job done first, more than anything else. How does, like, I mean, and All for One wasn't really attacking anybody else yet, but like there's no way of knowing, there's no real knowing now that he had intended to take over the world, even though we kind of knew that from the very beginning. But
Yeah.
it wasn't like he was attacking anybody else.
It's just a thought, like, you know, there's just a thought that it would have been cool. Like, all they would have had to do is add, like, change the background a little bit while they were traveling somewhere, and you know what I mean, or have them like pass by something that suggested that. And for the first thing, and for the second thing, just add a sentence or two of dialogue that, you know what I mean, when they were talking about how heroes are rated, they said, you know, now that heroes are, you know what I mean, now that all the heroes of the world are working together, you know, heroes are also rated by country, and you know what I mean, or and as well as the world, you know. And they could have thrown one line about, like, one sentence like that in there, and then suddenly, like, you know, there's a suggestion of world peace. You know, I don't know. It just seemed like that whole important thing about how inspirational heroes were would have been compounded a little bit. And it wouldn't, I'm not saying that anime is bad because it's not there. I just meant it would have been like an opportunity to maybe make it even better, you know, a little bit better.
On the whole world, like on the whole rating, did they say they changed the rating to the world? I didn't pick up.
No, I'm saying I was adding like a sentence in where they could have just an example of how they could have said something that that showed that the world had changed, so that, you know, the heroes of the world were working together, or the countries and heroes of the world were working together, or just the heroes, or whatever. You know what I mean? It's just a possibility.
I mean, I can see where you're coming from. At the same time, I guess it's like, for me, it's like I got the, you know, not that saying people need closure, like with that in mind. I don't know. It just, I guess for me, it's like, I don't know if it was necessary, and clearly they didn't put it in.
It's not necessary. It's not necessary. It just was like a little opportunity, I thought, that would have maybe been a cool idea. It's not necessary.
I'm not saying to say it wouldn't have been cool. I guess it's just like, you know, I guess I personally don't need that. I'm not saying you need that, but you know, you would have preferred them doing that. It's like, I don't know. It's like, I guess it wouldn't take anything away. I guess is ultimately where I guess I'm coming from. It's like, it wouldn't take anything away. I guess it wouldn't have damaged anything on my end. I probably would have glossed over it anyway. But
no, that's cool. You know, fuck me. I won't make any more suggestions.
That's not what I mean.
No, it's great. It's okay. It's okay.
That's not what
fuck
I mean.
me.
No, that's
okay.
not what I mean. This is not what I mean. No. I took my glasses off, by the way, just so I can say this. No. Why do you do this?
Should we talk about Frieren?
Yeah, we've already, the timer for My Hero ended, I think maybe 30 minutes ago.
6 minutes ago. I thought you were going to stop at 11, but even then, 6 minutes ago, we're done.
I was intending, but I wanted to let you go because I knew I kind of took some of your time up, so I didn't want to be rude and stop you in the middle of that. So, all right, we need to start the timer for this way. All right, Frieren. I think what we're gonna do here, because I started off to talk of My Hero, I'll let you start to talk about Frieren. Because I already made mention. I was like, yeah, how I'm feeling about it right now. Off camera. All right, good sir. I'm here to answer questions you have. I don't know why I said.
Wait, you're gonna have me lead this one? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, basically. You're free to go.
All right, I'm just gonna go down the line then. Okay.
That's fine.
I don't have. I'm gonna warn you too. I don't have a ton to say about this.
You say that.
Yeah, I know. Well, you know how like sometimes I tell you I have 2 pages. I have 1 page, and the 1 page is not very detailed. They're like most. Sometimes when I don't have a lot to say, I put down the timestamps of moments or quotes that I think we might end up talking about, and a lot of these are just those timestamps.
All right.
At 2:43, they indicate that Frieren has a payoff for her new inclination to not use flashy spells, because the guy bends down and he realizes these suits of armor, which to him are like mortal remains. Do you know what I mean? And not just the spoils of war. Something to be buried and revered, and that where the soul of the last known remains of these people that they are great heroes. It sounds like many of them remain, and and he looks at them and he goes, "Must have been a fierce battle, but none of them are seriously damaged." And he thanks her for that, and that's just It's interesting because Frieren, I bet in that moment, Frieren validated some of her new respect. You know what I mean? For is it Heiter or Himmel, the hero? Himmel, right?
Himmel's the hero.
I get Heiter and Himmel mixed up so much. So just more respect for Himmel, I think, in that moment. At 325, and this is, I wrote this thinking that I would know what the hell I was talking about. She says, "This is a perfectly normal reaction." They say, "What?" And she goes, "Oh, just talking to myself." What do you think that means? Why do you think they included that piece of dialogue in there?
Like, when did she say this? Like, what happened that...
Around 325. I'm checking right now because I told myself that I would know it. It was around more like 318. "For all I've learned about your nature, Mr. Himmel trained you well. You must didn't say it like that," she says, "though I do suppose you have a point." And then they show Aura for a second, and then she goes, "This is a perfectly normal reaction." And Frieren goes, "What do you mean by that?" And Frieren says, "Just talking to myself." But I don't get it. Like, why?
Maybe something happened.
Why do they show Aura, the guillotine, and then she goes, "This is a perfectly normal reaction"?
Maybe she... Well, okay, there's two things. It's possible that something happened in the middle of her fight with... Well, it's not even a fight. It was a beatdown, to be real. Her fight with Aura that we didn't see, and they're going to flash back on that. I don't know why they would, though. Like, everything's done. I don't know why they would flash back on her fight with her, but maybe they'll do it sometime later. But two, it could just be the fact that Aura did make mention during their confrontation that Frieren wasn't acting like herself from 80 years ago in terms of using flashy spells. And then Frieren goes into the whole thing of how she doesn't do that anymore because Himmel, got really mad at her about it. And, Frieren even makes mention that she wasn't using flashy spells to kind of like subvert expectation. It's possible that a lot of that really has to do with the fact that the perfectly normal reaction means that the way people are reacting to what she's done is perfectly normal. And Frieren, because she's an elf and she lives for thousands of years at that, maybe for her, she hasn't seen this. Because later on we find out from another elf that, like their experiences are kind of similar but also different. He doesn't completely understand. Not to jump ahead of you, but he doesn't understand some things that, people or humans do. But he does his best. It's possible that she's referring to like people, the way that Fern and the guys reacting is like normal, and she's just trying to tell herself that because she probably doesn't see the big deal. It's a really convoluted way. I don't really know. I didn't really answer your question. I tried my best to. I apologize.
It's okay. This is real big time conjecture, but I did sort of wonder if this was her talking to herself about, like, as she tried to figure out what is normal for humans to do. And it might have been like another little tiny example of like comparing Frieren to how demons like learn about humanity. Frieren and demons being two sides of a coin. It's offset later in the episode by a much more normal acting human, like more quote unquote human elf later on that is a little awkward perhaps around humans. Like Fern mistakes him for some kind of pervert and he does act a little strangely at first, but is much better fitting in with human beings. But part of me wondered if that was like Frieren, like very like stiffly acknowledging that she's learning about people even in that moment. This is a perfectly normal reaction, like mental note, you know what I mean? This is how normal people act, kind of thing. Like, hello, fellow human beings,
Yeah.
Anyway, it's possible. I'm not gonna stick up for it, like that possible interpretation, but it seemed possible. So
My response is, eh.
yeah, it's a good enough response in my opinion. That's probably the best I could have hoped for. Anyway, hang on a second, please.
Fun.
You're so good at counting.
Then you go, so you're so good at being a jackass.
I sort of did say that, just not with those exact words. Frieren tells Ferdinand Stark that she's proud of them, which was interesting because a lot of the other parts of the episode later on, like a little cart before the horse in that plot point, but like later on, there's a big conversation about the value of praise for your deeds, and from between Kraft and Frieren. So it was interesting how, like, demonstrably they have Frieren praise Ferdinand Stark and say that she's proud of them. It's almost like she's a reflection of her having learned what it's like to be praised. So that there was like, I don't know, just the value of praise in general. At 6 minutes, I have decided permanently, and this will never change, that Tree Pruning Man is my favorite all-time favorite Frieren character from now on, hands down. So anytime if Tree Pruning Man ever shows up again, I will have Froppy and Piccolo levels of joy, because that is my hands down favorite character for the rest of time.
I don't know who the heck you're talking about.
The dude that Stark is afraid of, that's holding the big axe and like, I finished pruning the trees.
Oh, you said Tree Pruning Man. Never mind. I thought you said Tree Printing Man, and I got really confused. He's not going to show up anymore. There's no reason for him to show up.
I hope there is. I hope that he shows up again, because he's fantastic.
Why? He would be so out of place.
I fucking love him. I don't care. They can just have him, like,
that's gonna annoy
maybe
me.
He gets kidnapped, or maybe they get kidnapped and he comes and rescues them. Maybe they find him out pruning trees one day and they're like, what are you pruning trees all the way over here for? And he doesn't answer them clearly about it and changes the subject, and it's really sketchy. I don't care. I want to, or like he has an identical brother in the next place they go to, and everywhere they go from now on, it's like the cabbage guy from Avatar. Like, there's just always seems to be a guy, like, with a giant axe hanging around, just like there always seems to be a guy with a cabbage cart.
They don't go the Nurse Joy route.
I don't care. I want this guy all over my everything.
You know what I'm referring to, right? Though.
No.
You don't know the Nurse Joy thing? Like in the Pokemon universe, it's the same thing you're talking about, where there's always there are these things called Pokemon centers, and they heal your Pokemon when they get injured. But in this universe, they don't bother drawing a new character. So basically, it's a family of Nurse Joys that look identical. There's like 35 or something of these women, and they're everywhere. I mean, everywhere. So every time you go into a Pokemon center, you always say, "Oh, hello, Nurse Joy," but it's a different Nurse Joy, even though she looks like the last one you saw. Like, they're identical, but like, sometimes they may act differently. It just depends on which Nurse Joy you end up running into. But that's kind of what the Pokemon series does, and they do that with freaking Officer Jenny too. It's like identical Officer Jenny in another town. It's like, how about we just make it the black cat from Trigon? You're gonna find this offensive, but I don't know who you're talking about.
In Trigon, if you watch Trigon carefully, either every episode or almost every episode, I think there might be one episode that doesn't, and they did it for a reason. There's a little black cat that shows up, and I forget the cat's name, but he has a name. It's never said in the episode, but like, I guess the creator gave it a name sometime unofficially, like outside of the canon material. But it's in every episode somewhere. It's a Chronico.
I'm imagining a fat, chubby cat with a nose and eyes, and that's all.
No, it's just a little I'll show you. I'll drop a picture in the Discord. It's just a little black cat. Nothing important, but
it's fat, chubby black cat. Like that's all I'm really imagining right now. It has no mouth or anything. And just imagining.
You're wrong. That's what it looks like.
So I'm gonna tell you, when I look at it, I'm gonna say that's exactly what I was envisioning.
It's not fat. It's not fat or chubby. It's slender, or at least average. It's not fat.
It looked like it came from Soul.
I don't know. Its eyes can be dilated too, but they're usually narrow like that. But they can also. There's a couple times that you see them and they're dilated.
So this thing came out of Soul.
What?
Straight up, it came out of Soul.
Well, anyway, that if you watch Kuronika, it's like becomes like an Easter egg kind of situation where like you'll see. What?
No wonder I never saw it. I don't really catch Easter eggs, so never mind.
I think there's one episode where the cat doesn't appear, and I remember that there was an artistic reason the cat didn't appear there, but every other episode in this series has Kuroniko somewhere.
I never see.
I mean, just once, except there's one time when he appears twice, where Vash is going through a chest full of stuff, and he's like, as he's going through it, he's comically throwing the contents of the chest behind him, and he throws the cat out. And then a couple seconds later, he throws the cat out again. That's the only time he appears twice in an episode. Otherwise, he appears exactly once in every episode, except I think, and I can't remember clearly, there might be an episode where he doesn't appear at all.
Like, I think I know what he is, but at the same time, I never. And this is just something. This isn't just a Trigon thing. This is just a thing in general. Anytime people bring up Easter eggs, I never noticed them when I'm watching the episode. I'll probably only ever notice it if somebody brings it to my attention and I'm ever watching it again, or I'm playing a game and there's an Easter egg that I didn't notice at first. Like, I never catch these things when they're happening. I don't know what it is, or I don't know how people catch these things, but I never catch them in the moment.
I mean, sometimes Kuroniko was like straight up in the center of the attention in the episode. Like there's one episode where Trigon goes to pet Kuroniko, and Kuroniko scratches his hand and scratches his hand. That was at least like 7 or 8 seconds of interaction. Like it's not like he was in the background or something.
But okay, back to your notes.
It's okay. He was, like I said, he was in every single episode, just not very much. Okay.
Did not mean to do that. My fault.
Anyway, that's what I want. I want Tree Pruning Man to appear at least somewhere in every single episode from now on. I thought it was fun. What?
No, say if he's gonna tick me off, that's whatever. I just said whatever at the end of that.
Honestly, that might make it better for me. Like on a selfish level, I might be like, Game 100. I'm sorry, alternate visuals is gonna be so mad. Okay. I like that Frieren was not officially a first-class mage because it seems like she might be the strongest mage alive.
Frieren isn't. Oh, you talking about Frieren? Sorry, I don't like Frieren is not a first-class mage. She's a third class.
No, Frieren is a third, but Frieren might be the strongest. We don't know for sure, and they'll probably turn out that she's not. But as far as we can tell so far, she's the strongest mage alive, and she's not even a first-class mage. At 10:36, the mayor guy, whatever the guy's name, is talking to them about where to go, and so she can become a first-class mage. And he goes, "You could follow the beaten path, but your journey would be arduously long." I guess that implies that he's saying they don't use a path, that they cut through the woods or something, or like go the hard way.
I think
is that how you? He doesn't say there's a shortcut. He just tells them that, and then like that's the end of that part of the conversation. It made me think that like he's telling them just go directly there through.
Right? She's been through like this area. This isn't the first time she's been through it.
Yeah, it's further emphasized by the fact that they then cut through the woods and end up staying in a cabin, I guess.
But also want
to indeed, they do seem to be cutting through a rugged area.
So what? I just want to really ask a question. Like, so what I'm to assume, you're assuming, is that Frieren isn't a first class mage. I thought the way she talked, Frieren talked, it sounded like I thought she might have been a first class mage. Is that
Oh no.
she doesn't like to renew her thing because they always renew it. Well, to her too often, even though it's only ever like a 50-year spread or like that. But I was
No,
assuming that she was a
it's
first
not
class
that
mage.
her license expired. It's she says I'm forever like, in her opinion, she's forever like getting these types of licenses as they come and go. She's like, they come and go so fast I can't keep track of them. Like she's been a licensed something before, but like right now the gold standard for the last 50 years is to be a first class mage. But like she's never even heard of it because she can't keep track of all these things that have only been around for 50 years. For her, like 50 years was like last week that it became a thing, and she's just like, these things come and go so fast that I just can't keep track of them. Whereas me and humans, it's like, dude, that's been my whole life that's been going on. She's like, yeah, and your life is 10 seconds long.
I feel like she knows what a first class mage is, and I thought she might have, like, because like with the way they always changing standards, what she says, they're always changing standards. So it sounds like she might have been a first class mage at some point, but she just got tired of renewing it. Because she showed her proof of everything, but all she said was like, well, this isn't going to do, is it? So it sounds like, at least in my opinion, that emblem she's got right now is saying that she is a first class mage, but is unfortunately invalid because it's old and she hasn't been renewing it.
My impression was, I bet whatever thing she got last was like 200 years ago. 200 years ago, nobody knows what it is anymore. My impression was that like that's the story, and the first class mage thing isn't even a thing. Like for it, like she's just never heard of it, and she's not a first class mage because of that. It's not that it's expired. It's not that it's. I think it's because she's acting like she's never even heard of it before. She's not acting like it expired. And when she was talking about the other stuff, I bet it's like there's something out like 200 years ago that came out that she got, and she's like, "What? That doesn't work anymore?" Like I've got to get another thing. How tiresome!
But here's the thing.
In fact, I think it's very clear if you go back and watch that part, which I think you should at this point because the show will explain it for me. I think it's very clear that she doesn't have one.
But here's the problem. According to that dude, he says you need the first class thing to do anything. She's already been through it. Are you telling me she didn't, like, she wasn't a first class mage when she first went through whatever they're both going to do?
Because this is 50 years old and they were there more than 50 years ago.
But I feel like a first class mage thing would have still been around. Whatever. Let me go.
They said specifically that it's about 50 years old.
I want to get. Hold up.
It was more than 50 years ago that they were there. So, again, you know what I mean? This is something that happened after last time she was there.
I gotta go and cover this on video because
you can go check it out. But I feel pretty solid on my interpretation of this right now.
I'm just an idiot. Hold on.
Apparently what?
Apparently I'm just an idiot. I just said moving on.
You don't have to be an idiot to misunderstand something or not have paid extremely close attention to something that was very detailed. Like, there's no need to like shoot yourself down or make it sound like I'm shooting you down about it. I can give you a sec to look it up.
Really point. He says that you need to be comforted. Okay, this is the problem. Like he says that in order to go, I saw that she asked what a first class major was, so I guess that thing. But my problem is, according to him, you need a first class mage to go through the Northern Plateau. How the hell did Himmel and the group get through it then? Because there's no way they got through it, because if she's not a first class mage, she wouldn't have been as powerful as she is right now then. So that would make no sense.
First of all, first class mage is like a qualification. It's a piece of paper. It's not an indication of how strong you are. You come in there and become a first class mage by taking some tests or filling out some qualification or filling out a form. That's what it sounds like to me. So that's not the thing.
I disagree.
The thing is that, Jeremy.
Sorry, I disagree. I disagree.
This is not about disagreeing. This is a fact. It's about 50 years old. Stark says at one point that it's about 50 years old. They were there more than 50 years ago now. So it didn't exist last time she was in the area. There were when she was there was no such thing as a first class mage.
I'm talking about the first class certification, but like, what I'm trying to sit there
and
say,
the certification too. That like the certification makes you a first class mage. They're the same thing. When she was last there, it didn't exist.
No, I'm not disagreeing with that. What I'm saying is like, what I don't understand is based off of the way he's talking about the Northern Plateau, and you need whatever the equivalent would have been at that point. She wouldn't have had it because she wouldn't have been qualified as a first class mage because she never took whatever it was and whatever it qualified for her. She wouldn't have been as powerful as she is right now then. So she wouldn't have qualified for whatever the equivalent of a first class mage would have been. And she was Himmel's mage at that time. There's no way she was.
I think she was probably plenty qualified, but I don't know how that affects. I think she was definitely qualified to be a first class mage. But what are you talking about?
What I'm saying is like she wouldn't have been she's not as powerful as she is now because they said that she's qualified to be one. I don't think she was qualified back when she was traveling with Himmel. That Northern Plateau that they're trying to go through, according to Gratz, you need to be a certified first class mage to even traverse it.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. She wouldn't have been one.
It doesn't matter because because it didn't exist.
Oh,
but if it did exist, a separate conversation. If it did exist, I think she was qualified, but it did not exist at that time.
I think I disagree with that. Not for fundamental disagreement on you, but I'm just saying I think I disagree with that. I feel like the whole idea, because of the way Frieren was talking about it, they were consistently, regardless of how many years they really were changing qualifications.
They told you how many years ago it was. No, we know, and the show has told us how long ago it started in this episode, and we know how long ago from other episodes her travels there were.
I think
we know everything. We know all of the timeline.
I think you're misunderstanding where I'm coming from. I'm not.
I think I am too. I hope I am.
I'm not disagreeing on the idea of first class mage existing. Well, like now I completely lost my train of thought here. Because they were going through the Northern Plateau, and it sounds like it's a really arduous place, and it doesn't sound like it was easy. That's what I'm saying. I don't think she was the equivalent of a first class mage. It doesn't matter. First class mage didn't exist at the time that she was there. Whatever the equivalent was, I'm arguing that she was not that level. Because according to everything that everything Heidi was talking about and how like clumsy the heck she was and like how mimicky. Also with the idea is like you're saying that the first class, this is a separate conversation, but you say the first class mage certification doesn't really mean anything. I disagree. Because I don't really know much about it, but I happen to see the title of the next arc, which is called First Class Certification. I highly doubt that they're going to make a big deal out of an arc if it didn't mean anything. That's just my point of view of it all. But I don't think back when she was traveling with Himmel in the original group, I don't think she was the equivalent of a first class. Whatever the first class mage title was, I'm not saying it was first class. I'm just saying whatever that title, whatever it was, because she's been holding on to that little pendant that she just showed. As saying that this is her proof that she's a mage or whatever like that. It's like this was her qualification that she's had that she's now realizes is expired. But I say I don't know how they got through the Northern Plateau if they're saying it's as restricted as it was, because even 50 years or whatever like that when she passed through there, I highly doubt that place changed all that much, because even Gratz, because his name was Gratz, said that you realize that it's just as perilous as it was before. I don't know how they got through it, because like to be frank, Frieren isn't that intelligent, because we see her get eaten by a freaking mimic, and apparently she's done it multiple times. By the way, it doesn't seem like she just did this once. So it's like I don't know how they got through it with a mage that's like, I'm not even gonna say dumb, it's like a mage as like lazy as she was.
There were 4 arrows back then.
you still need all heroes to do the job. This isn't a 1, 2, or 3 person job. I'm just saying, like, I feel like I don't know how they got through it unless they had another mage with them, but they don't talk about that. So I'm under the assumption that it was Frieren who was their qualifying mage. But at the same time, I don't really know. I don't believe that she was powerful enough to be like whatever her equivalent was. I don't know if that equivalent is truly the equivalent of a first class mage, because the way she's talking about it, they changed qualifications like a lot. Nothing stays the same, and that's why she got tired of it. And also, I had to go. I mean, I'll look at it after as you're talking at the rest of the episode, but I feel like she makes mention that it may have an inspired, or maybe I misinterpreted inspiration. But from the sounds of it, she got tired of renewing it, so she stopped renewing it. I'm not arguing with the fact that first class mages knew, or she didn't know about it, or whatever like that. I'm just saying that it doesn't make sense how they got through the Northern Plateau the first time.
I mean, Flamme personally trained her, which seems to be the most legendary wizard of all time. And Flamme seemed pretty satisfied with her. And then Frieren had like 900 years to train after Flamme. It seems like she has a fighting chance of that. But if she wasn't good enough on her own, it's because she also had 3 of the world's greatest heroes of all time traveling with her to back her up. But I think Frieren was probably pretty powerful back then.
I'm not arguing that she wasn't powerful. It's just I feel like she wasn't powerful enough, because they when they bring up first class mage, it sounds like this is a big deal. It doesn't sound like something that, like, especially if Frieren hadn't heard about it, it sounds like this whole title thing and whatever it is sounds like it's a bigger deal than it just being a title of a name on a piece of paper. This is the way I'm taking it.
Could be for sure. I just think that, like, I don't know. She has some pretty good credentials. I mean, to measure up to whatever first class, because all of these wizards that are in there pretty much are going to be human, because elves are extremely rare, and it seems doubtful that there's dwarf wizards, or at least a lot of them. So I would say that, like, of the known races, they're probably mostly humans in this thing. Humans don't live super long, and elves are probably more inherently magical than humans anyway, which would explain why the Demon Lord started with elves when he was trying to wipe everybody out. And so Frieren's probably more powerful than whatever passes for a first-rate human wizard right now. I'm more surprised that Fern's only third-rate.
She took a test before she left. That's what she said.
Yeah, I'm surprised it only got her. Okay. I'm surprised it only got her third-rate. That's all I'm saying.
I think she just took the third-rate exam. Was that or did she say she got classified as a third-rate wizard?
I thought she took the exam and that's what she got placed as, but maybe I'm misunderstanding.
Also, that's the case.
I envision it being a One Punch Man style hero test, but
I mean, also, if that's the case, that's her fault too, because I mean, I'm not blaming her. I'm just saying, like, she's been taught to repress her magic from Frieren, so like the test wouldn't have classified her as the true rank that she would have been.
But she knows how to not suppress it too. So if they were like, if she knew they were about to measure her, she could turn off her suppression.
Yeah, but I don't think Frieren would have done that unless they told her to. I don't think Frieren would have done that because it's a habit. It's not like it's something she's newly doing. It's a legitimate like habit now. Like she just does it without. It's like getting squinting your butthole. You do it enough, it just you just do it automatically. I don't know why I went there. Carry on.
I just meant that, like, if she knew this is the part of the test where they're going to read your ability, that possibly they would have. She went, oh, okay, well, let me turn off my suppression, and then like the room would have flooded with magic, and I would have been like, okay,
I don't know. I mean, I guess you can argue. I don't know. Personally, if I was Frieren, I wouldn't have done it. And this isn't like a too proud thing. I just think it's like I was taught to keep this on. I don't really have a reason. My master didn't tell me to turn it off when I'm being tested.
Another possibility is that Fern intentionally got third rate.
I don't know about that.
that if she intentionally got third rate because that's all she thought she needed, and she doesn't, and it's important to her to for people to underestimate her power. That's like a core to her and Frieren's strategy is to be underestimated.
I don't know if they've made you share ranks like that amongst each other. So I don't know how that would affect her ability to keep hidden. I mean, the aura thing, not aura, but like their magic thing, their magic, presence was already suppressed, and people were already underestimating them.
Yeah, we'll have to learn more about it to see whether or not that passing thought makes sense. But it's not impossible that she intentionally was like, it seems more to my advantage to pass the test, but not with flying colors.
I guess I was thinking about it from the kind of like, why would I like? I mean, I'm not like they have reasons. I'm just saying, but for me, it's like in my mind, thinking about like, why would I do that to myself, knowing that I may need to take the test again at a later point to get a higher rank if I know that I can get that rank now, and I can still hide
Maybe
my
she just
power.
didn't know that this was necessary. Maybe she's like, oh, never. I thought this would be plenty. I thought now I have like, I'm part of the team. I'm part of the club. You know what I mean? That'll get me what I need. Maybe she just thought it wasn't necessary to go farther than that, and they were wrong. We don't know yet because she only talked about it for like 2 sentences. Anyway, I'm just conjecturing that it's a possibility that someone like Fern, who works in mysterious ways sometimes at first, you know what I mean, in ways that are hard to predict fully, might have thought that there was a good reason to intentionally get a little lower score than usual. Anyway, let me. We've got 20 minutes. Let me see what other things we have because I'm not that deep into my notes. I'm not that deep into my notes yet. 1123. She mentions that the Winters took more lives in the war than the Demon King himself. At 16, this is the kind of thing that seems to be important in this type of show, or this show in particular. At 16 minutes, Starks kind of asks him whether or not he's famous in the monk world. And Kraft looks at him, like gives him a look like he's not thrilled with that question and doesn't give him an answer. He just kind of just doesn't answer. That's as far as I can really go with it. It made me wonder if there's first of all, if that was an indicator that our story with this character is not over yet. You know what I mean? That he's not just a passing traveler that we're going to see in 100 or 200 years, but like someone we're going to see soon. And also, if he has maybe a difficult a challenging past that we're going to learn about, because he chose not to answer that question, which seemed important to me, that they brought up the question and then didn't answer it for you.
I didn't really take much of what he was saying seriously, just to be honest. Not that saying
I know,
I
but
didn't believe him.
They asked him, you must have been a big deal in the monk world, and he chose not to answer it. And I don't know, that just seems like that's an indicator that he would prefer that people not know anything about whatever that is,
I get what you mean. I take that as him being a failure. That was just my general, because like I didn't really think he was going to be all that important. I could be 100% wrong. I typically do this on purpose with some characters where I don't think too much about them until I see them again, and then I start thinking about them a little bit more. And like I don't typically, if I see a character for the first time, unless they do something very like, if they do something random or something like that, I like them. Maybe like I don't particularly like or hate this character. I just like think he was just a random elf that we ran into, because Frieren brought up before that she hadn't seen many elves, and he even does the exact same thing of like he doesn't run into many elves. So apparently I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that the elves were decimated, but like they don't see many of their own kind. And I just took him saying 100 years as like they'll see each other again when the show's over, but But again, I'm not gonna sit there and say like we won't see him again. I didn't think too much about it. Probably should have, but I don't really. He didn't catch me as anybody important.
Yeah, like I said, it just when this show does something like that, it usually has a payoff at some point later. So it's just it made me curious.
I mean, I guess
Um,
no reason why he wouldn't.
Craft is the German word for power. Power. Remember, I told you a lot of German words turn out to be. A lot of the words in this show turn out to be translatable to German. I thought it was interesting that craft translates to power. Not world changing, but just something to think about. You know, a lot as we're thinking about whether this is a relevant character. Like they chose the word power for his name. At 1739, everybody prays over dinner but Frieren. I know they explained why later on, but I thought that was just an interesting little subtle way to bring it up before they actually bring it up. At 1845, Kraft tells Frieren that she's still young, which brought up two things to me. One of them was like, holy crap, like this guy is so old that 1,000-year-old being is young to him. Do you know what I mean? And second, like, how the fuck can you tell? Like, what am I missing? I'm starting to feel racist here because I have no idea. You know what I mean? They all look the same age to me.
You said it.
What?
No, you said they all look the same to you. I'm like, oh god.
They all look the same age. Like I know they're different. I know that the elves don't look the same. The two elves don't look the same to me, but they look roughly the same age. You know.
To answer your question about how can you tell, I mean, what I'm going to really boil this down to is typically this is how they do it in any fantasy or any anime. I mean, you know this, but they do this in typically any fantasy where it's like if they have a being that can live for so many years, they don't typically age physically in any real way. I don't even know when they do because we do see. I'm willing to bet we'll see a really old looking elf eventually. I'm not sure when or where, but I suspect that we probably will. So we'll know what they look like when they're old.
No.
But yeah, I will say it was kind of a shock for him to call her young. That did catch me off guard. I was like, oh wait, how old is him? How old is he? I'm like, because like if she is young, that means she's like a little kid to him, meaning that her first 100 or her first 1,000 years were infancy. And now like she's learning now, and it's like, you know, as she gets older, it's kind of like the whole, she just takes longer to mature and she'll take longer to get old as a result. But again, how old is he? Because like he doesn't even say how long he's been wandering, and the way he makes it sound like they'll be wandering till they meet again. However many years he said, he gave a number. Yeah, it's probably one of those things like in their own race they can tell. Species, they can tell. Like they can see something that you can't because you're human.
Okay, so Frieren tells everyone that says that everyone wants to be remembered when she's talking to him, and that's fine. You know what I mean? That she's like, you know, when he's like, oh, you know what I mean, blah blah blah, to be remembered, and she's like, yeah, I think everybody wants to be remembered. And then Kraft offers, he's like, well, you know, if you don't want to be remembered by, you know what I mean, having a god that you follow or something like that, why don't you tell me your stories, and I will praise your good deeds to other people. And she's like, no, thanks, I'm good. And she turns down his offer, which I thought was relevant because like there's just like a tiny example of her contradicting herself a little bit, not 100%, but just like she has enough of that, you know what I mean? And then to build on the contradiction, a couple minutes later, when he's asking about height, when she's talking about Heiter, I'm sorry, for a few minutes later she's talking to him and she says the goddess attracts the strangest of people. Frieren, who just said that she doesn't believe in a goddess, talking about these strange ways of the goddess. And then when she's talking about Heiter, she says he already made his way to heaven. So like she says a couple things to him, but then she like contradicts herself like 3 times in a row. Do you know what I mean? Like everyone wants to be remembered, and he's like, "Oh well, let me give you this way to be remembered." And she's like, "No, thank you." And then she's like, "I don't believe in God." In one breath, and in the next breath, she's talking about the ways of the goddess, and then she's talking about how Hyder's already made his way to heaven. I think that's intentional on the story, and I'm curious why the story is being built this way. But I thought it was interesting to note.
I mean, really quick, I've seen this before. I think well, not seen this before, but I've heard there are people who say they don't believe in a higher power, but then but secretly they want to believe because they don't want to like believe in a world of randomness. For some people, they don't understand that. Other people that it's just they want to believe in something. And I'm pretty sure
Mhm.
what that really is showing to me is showing something. I think she wants to believe, but because she's been alive for what she believes to be a very long time, according to that guy, not really.
Mhm.
She hasn't seen the goddess roam the world, and according to Croft, it sounds like he might have like seen her once, but Frieren hasn't, and that's because that's the main reason why she gave of like why she didn't believe. That's mostly the most reason. That's the most her reason I've heard. People don't believe in the higher powers, like that this god hasn't walked the earth, and I haven't seen it, so like why should I believe
Mhm.
in it? That's basically what I'm taking from her. But like I said before, yeah, I mean, I don't know if they're intending to show that she's gonna show up. It'd be ironic and interesting if they do, because sometimes gods do roam the earth in fantasy. So
Yeah.
it'd be interesting if they do bring her down. I mean, if she is still wandering the earth, well, wandering the planet.
Mhm.
Short thought over.
I, I like the awkwardness that they use to introduce Kraft. Like they come in and he's like doing squats and he's shirtless, and Fern assumes that it's a pervert, and Frieren's ready to leave. Do you know what I mean? And then he opens the door and talks him into staying. But even though like he completely dismisses it. He goes, "Look, I was doing squats to stay warm," and they're like, "Oh, understandable." And then he's perfectly normal through the whole thing. That's sort of like feeling that you get when he's first there, like sticks a little bit, and you're just like kind of looking for more of it, even though it doesn't happen anymore. Like there's that feeling of like, is this, which one is you? You know what I mean? Um, and it seemed he gives you no reason to believe that he's not the person he is, but like I still had this feeling like I should be looking for something. You know what I mean? And I think that might have been intentional too. There was a book that was published, and I any other day I'd be able to tell you the name of it. But it tells one of the scientific principles the book establishes is that you, I think it's within 2 seconds. Like this is the results of a study. Within 2 or 3 seconds or something like that, you form an impression of somebody or something when you see it. Somebody or something. It doesn't have to be a person. And then from that point forward, your brain tries to justify that feeling. Like the first thing you do is make an impression, and then the next thing you do, and it lasts for possibly indefinitely, is you try to justify your first impression in your mind. You try to rationalize it. And they kind of play on that here because, you know what I mean? You see him in there, you see him exactly what he's doing. Everybody gets creeped out, and they let you feel good and creeped out for like 2 or 3 seconds before they say, "Oh no, this is your first impression doesn't count." But you still have that scientifically proven inclination to justify that first feeling you got. So, and then they kind of play with that for the rest of the episode.
I didn't feel creeped out with that guy.
Mm-hmm.
I know Fern did, but I think that's because Fern's not used to seeing muscular, shirtless dudes in a cabin by themselves. Which I will give credit. Like that is weird, but I don't know. I didn't really feel anything when I saw him. Didn't think anything of it. I just like, oh, he's in there doing squats. It was actually my first reaction. I was like, oh. When Fern called him a pervert, I was like caught off guard a little bit. I was like, oh, what? Why? Okay, whatever. Like that's just her reaction.
The name of the book is Blink. Yeah. Anyway, the name of the name of the book is Blink. If you ever want to look into it, but that's the one that talks about how people have a scientifically proven tendency to take something in and then try to prove themselves right from that moment forward. Anyway, the interactions with Kraft and Frieren really emphasize just how little motivation elves have to reproduce. Even under the circumstances of them possibly being the last two elves alive in the entire world, they still don't explore the possibility of romance at all. They have this sort of passing academic curiosity about each other and how they're doing and what they might know about the elves, but like certainly no chemistry. But speaking of chemistry, I like how Stark checked out Kraft's body with his shirt off and was like, bro.
I'm still here.
I stole this one. I stole this one from Reddit, but Fern, when Fern's carrying Stark, she comments on how heavy he is, and then everybody was talking about, well, he's probably all muscle and bone density. Like you have to build up your bone density as well as your muscle when you're working out, like to do things like what Stark does. So I thought that was an interesting little observation. I don't know if the writers were thinking that way, but it was kind of an interesting observation. It's certainly not the weight of that tiny axe that could never injure somebody that he carries with him because it's too small.
I wasn't talking about his axe. I was talking about the girl's axe. What are you talking about? What?
His axe. Yeah, their axe was just equal size. Fern, another little missable detail that I picked from Reddit was that Fern stole Fern's blanket and left her shivering. When they show them laying down, and like they just show a quick little shot of them like laying down, and in the next morning, and Fern has taken her blanket, and Fern's like shivering and miserable on the floor. Another point that I stole from Reddit was really cool was I already mentioned it earlier. All right, and that's all my notes with 5 minutes to spare. Why don't you take it away? Show me what you got.
I got nothing. I think I said everything as you were talking. I don't. Let me think. I think it's a part of me really is just dulled from the demon thing. But I will say, forgetting the demon thing actually is completely erasing that from memory. I will say the interaction between Frieren and Kraft was interesting. I mean, you say no chemistry. I just don't think they find each other attractive. But I also could be due to the fact that elves apparently just don't feel the need to procreate like humans do. It's like not a biological function. But a lot of that might have to do with the fact that they live for so long. If they were to get it on at the same rate as humans did, there'd be a lot more elves and a lot less dead bodies. But I would say their interaction was interesting. Like I've been seeing two elves, and they kind of hinted at the idea that Frieren herself hasn't really talked or met another elf for a long time. Even cropped into the exact same thing of like they haven't run into another elf in forever now. I think their interaction and them talking was just mostly just them trying to get familiar with their own species for the first time in a long while, because like they haven't met. But also to Croft's whole thing of like like you said before, I am still kind of curious how old he was, because like you said before, I did take notice of him saying that she is younger. She is just a child. It's like that must mean that he must be 2,000 years old, maybe at the very minimum.
Yeah,
To consider
tens of thousand or whatever. Yeah,
to consider her a child, he's got to be 2,000 plus. I mean, I'll even bring up the minimum of like, let's go like 4,000, 3,000, 4,000. Like he's got to be fairly old. But because elves don't really age physically that much, as we can tell, like he doesn't seem like he's. I mean, then again, he's a monk too, so monks usually pray to keep their physical strength up. So his age may not have anything to do with his ability to move.
Yeah.
But
it's sort of wild that they haven't heard of each other.
It's possible that like maybe he goes by a different name. He went by a different name when he was famous. I don't know.
Or he's infamous.
I don't know. He seems like too nice. I mean, I'm not gonna be the naive fool and say he's too nice. That but no, he could have easily been mean before.
He could have made a mistake. He could have been falsely accused and still been infamous. You know what I mean? It could just be misunderstood or discovered something that created disasters. You know what I mean? Like he could have stumbled upon a treasure box, and when he opened it up, the first demons came out. You know what I mean? I don't know. It could be a variety of reasons that he would be infamous. That would be interesting storylines.
I don't know if I ever got the feeling that he was infamous. I mean, I don't even really ever got the feeling that he was famous, period. I mean, with the way he was talking, he would think.
Except that he specifically didn't acknowledge Stark's question about if he was famous.
I guess, but you can also interpret him just saying, I don't really want to, I personally don't enjoy being known. Now, that could be for multiple reasons. I'm not considering saying that, like, just because he doesn't want to be known or that doesn't mean that he isn't known.
His facial expression was troubled when he asked him. He gave him a troubled look and then changed the subject without answering. Like, deflected the question. If you were famous, like, and it was just great, like everybody loved you famous, and then someone said, oh, you must be famous, and you didn't want to talk about it, you'd probably smile and change the subject rather than look troubled and say change the subject.
I guess. I mean, you're interpreting more from him in the first interaction than I can at this very moment.
Yeah.
But at the same time, personally, I'll have to see him again to, like,
it says 16 minutes exactly when it happens.
I believe you. I think I saw that moment too, but again, it's like I can't really interpret it much from him doing that. Like, I could see it as like he doesn't. I mean, there are people who are famous who do have a good, but they just don't like getting mobbed. They don't like the attention. There are people who are like that, just in general. But I'm not gonna sit there and say that's him.
He says, I can't say I've ever heard of you, but you must be super famous in the monk world, right? And then if you look at him, his shoulders raise up and his head gets lower and he doesn't make eye contact and he stares intensely forward at, like, I think the fire. But that's not the look. And then he puts his head down regretfully and like reluctantly puts his scarf on, and he's not making eye contact the whole time. And then he says, Stark, you should stay and rest a bit longer. It just seems very clear to me that like he was not happy about that question, and it wasn't like humility or I want to avoid this idol worship conversation. It was clear that he was not actively not happy about having to field that question.
I was never saying you were wrong. For me, just in general, I need to see him again. Like I base sometimes, like for people, I base whatever my opinion is on them off of multiple interactions, not just one. Like maybe I shouldn't do that for the most part, but it's like I just don't know. Like to me, he didn't come off as, my brain said he's not important, move on. Is basically I think what my brain did. It's like he's here and he's just gonna be an episode. But I mean, if he does come back, for any particular reason, my brain, my attention will be erased towards him in general. It's like, I mean, he seemed cool. I wouldn't be against him coming back. It is like I don't really have much of an opinion, so I didn't take in a lot of stuff from him when he was on the screen. He seemed interesting enough to be around. I just like it. I guess ultimately it's like, I need to see a lot more of him. He needs to be in another episode. I need to see him interacting with more. I will say it's interesting that it was not Frieren or Fern that brought the question up, but like it was Stark. So I mean, I guess monks and warriors probably would be chummy. I guess it does seem interesting that Stark was the one that brought up the question. So I wonder how many monks Stark does know of.
I think, well, Stark, I think, was like looking at him as like a fellow fighting class kind of thing, you know? I was like, oh, yeah, I work out too. I can tell that you're super strong. I bet you're strong enough even to be famous. You know, are you famous? And the guy was like, you should stay and rest longer, you know?
But I feel like a warrior would know of a monk, like a really strong monk. I don't think that would be something that wouldn't be. So it means I feel like maybe.
Well, that's the other thing. He said, like, I'm amazed I haven't heard of you. He does say that. He goes, I haven't heard of you. I wonder why, you know?
All I was saying is I wonder how many, you know, really powerful warriors Stark does know about. In the fact that it shocks him he does not know about him. If he is basing everything
yeah,
on
I mean, he's
really
somewhat he's kind of a small town guy in a lot of ways, but like, I think the real story here is not that, I think the real story here is not that Stark hadn't heard of him, but that he didn't like the question, you know? Just for your FYI, it's 12:03.
Yeah, I'm aware. I saw the timer hadn't gone off yet, but I'm about to just delete it.
I was just letting you know. I know you've got to go to sleep for work.
I'm aware. I mean, the timer's still going. It's only 2 minutes left. I don't really have much to say. I'll probably be this way for the majority of this show. That's not a bad sign. It's just for me. It's like I guess I don't really have much to attach myself to anymore. At least not yet. I mean, I'm not giving up. It's just I like Stark and I like Frieren and I like Frieren. I'll watch them and see what their shenanigans lead up to. I think the next episode is like hero, a real hero, and apparently has something to do with Stark based off the ending, all the ending voices I heard. Something about Stark's hometown, I think. So I guess they're gonna like walk.
Every time I go into Reddit and read the recaps, the people that are writing in Reddit about this, who Reddit is very typically on the negative side, you know, for things, especially in fandom areas, but the Frieren, the anime, like not even a Frieren like Reddit, but like just the anime Reddit, everybody's very, very highly praising Frieren. So I get the feeling that we're gonna feel like it was worth it in the end.
So I'll still keep watching this. I guess I will, you know, I'm still like holding out hope for whoever that character is they keep on showing in the intro. I'm telling you right now, I don't know when they're gonna show whoever that is, but we'll see. Cause she looks evil. Maybe she'll be a better antagonist for me to like watching. Guess with that, I'm gonna stop being down on the show. I like it, still having fun. Good night, everybody. See you guys tomorrow. I think for Minecraft. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, guten Abend.
And don't touch his knob, whatever he just said.